Hello, friends of the multiverse. Welcome back to another Fake Nerds Watch. Invincible is back, baby. It's me, Ryan Leopolis, joined with my fellow Ryan Leopolis, also Ryan Leopolis, the collective of Iliopolises. Actually, we got Sparkz Witty and Brandon T. McClure here.
I'm just a Ryan from another dimension.
We're all white men in glasses, so it's all the same to me if I'm saying anything.
Welcome. You know what? We're all white men. We've all got various levels of beards.
True.
We've all got glasses.
We're all Engstrom Levy. I've said Levy my entire life, but it's Levy. Something you learned today. We'll learn much more about Invincible season 2, baby. It's back. Has it been 2 years?
Just about.
Yeah. Jesus Christ. Oh my God. It feels so good to be back. That's the first thing I'm going to say before we even talk about the episodes. We have a nice Adam Eve special out. I wasn't on that one. That's a fun little episode. So check that out first if you haven't watched that. But we are here, season 2. Brandon, why don't you give us some credits before we start talking about some of this nonsense?
Yeah, so we're going to talk about the first 2 episodes of season 2, which are episode 1, A Lesson for Your Next Life, directed by Sol Choi, with supervising direction coming from Dan Duncan. This one was written by Simon Rasiopa, I think is how you pronounce his name. And then in about 6 hours, I Lose My Virginity to a Fish. Now, that's not me saying that. That is the episode title of episode 2.
Yeah. I mean, what are you doing later, man? That's crazy.
Yeah, directed by Ian Abondo. Once again, Dan Duncan as supervising director, and written by Matt Lambert.
Love it. Well, I'll just go first. I'm so happy to be back. I think the comic's great. I love that first season. I think we all love that first season. And you don't realize how much you miss something until because a year, that's a long time. But 2 years, I forgot a lot of stuff. And that recap, I was like, right, that guy, this guy, that happened. Flying off into space crying. I'm like, oh man, it feels so good to be back. It's a couple weeks after the first season, but we're fresh into it. The Guardians of the Globe. Marc's a real sad boy. His mom's a real sad boy. So I'm pretty positive on these 2 episodes. It was really hard for me not to watch the next 2 because they are out. Because I didn't want to get mixed up in my brain what happened. So I'm jonesing for more. I wonder how you guys are feeling about Invincible.
I feel exactly the same, Ryan. I don't think I could differ much in my views with this one. I'm very happy to be back in the world of Invincible. I have been reading the comic kind of sporadically over the last 2 years since the last episode of the first season dropped, and it's really cool to be going through some of the things that the comic that I'm just now reading in the comic and seeing whereas with Invincible, the first season, I was coming in very fresh and kind of this is all new to me. Whereas now I'm coming in with oh, this is how they've changed this. This is really interesting. This is a cool way to do that. It's really interesting to be in a very different headspace than I was in the first season. But I'm so happy to be here. I love these first 2 episodes. I can't wait to get into it.
Love it. How are you feeling about this new season, Mr. Sparkz?
I really like it. It's really bringing everything to the table that I thought was lacking in the Adam Eve special.
Yes.
So, happy to report that, as I suspected on that special, the show is just as good as the show always is.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, really enjoy it. Happy to be watching it.
Love it.
Yeah.
Well, gosh, where do you even want to start? Do you want to start with the Fortnite skins first? Because how excited are we to have the Immortal on our back?
The Immortal's head on. That's pretty good.
Really
that's pretty good.
I really like
I wish you could interject oh no, what's his name in God of War?
Kratos?
No.
Oh, Mimir.
Thank you.
Mimir.
Yeah. He's just thousands of years for this. Yeah, absolutely.
I want to start with Angstrom Levy.
Yeah.
Because he is introduced as our new he's not really introduced as a villain, but we kind of know that's what he is. And I really like the adaptation of him. I think this is probably my favorite vocal. I have to be very clear. My favorite vocal performance coming from Sterling K. Brown, who I think is generally a decent voice actor, but here I think he is a good voice actor. I'm really happy with the direction they've taken Angstrom Levy in these first 2 episodes.
My brain has no idea what else he's done off the top of my head.
Frozen 2.
There you go. That's all I know. And I've forgotten that movie.
That's completely. The one you went to, Frozen. Yeah. I mean, I guess so, because that he has a voice role in that. But that was wild. That's a wild jump to go to.
I guess. I mean, that was the most like obvious thing I knew Ryan would have seen.
No, it's
Sure.
true. I did see that movie. It's true.
Sadly looks off to the side. I did see that movie.
Oh, it's good. I like
It's
that.
not Frozen.
No, it's whatever. Yeah, this is not a Disney podcast unless tune in for next week. I think it's really cool. Because I don't remember the order of the comic because I have not been refreshing on it, but it feels like, does he come in earlier? Is he introduced earlier than normal, or is
He's
this about
introduced the first episode here is when when we're seeing him like collect all the Angstrom levies. Sorry, I also said levy.
No, it's, yeah.
The Angstrom levies from across the multiverse and gets the Mauler twins to help him. That's all before Omni-Man. Omni-Man kills the Guardians. It's not kills Guardians of the Ghost, but like when it's revealed that he's evil. That all happens before. So it doesn't really change anything to kind of like move it after. In fact, I actually kind of think it works a little bit better because Marc's in a more interesting headspace when he walks in. He's like, I don't care. I don't care anymore. I'm just gonna destroy this. I don't care. Whatever.
He's so excited to be like, oh, you want me to stop you? You don't know how bad I wanted somebody to say that. And he's just like, he can cut loose. But we'll get to that part. But Levy starts off as like a nice dude, and you think he's a nice dude. He's like, he's doing the Reed Richards. Like, I want to solve all the problems. It's the Council of Reeds, Council of Kings, like it's the Council of Levies. And that's a really cool idea. I'm a big fan of that idea. Even no matter how many times it gets used in Rick and Morty, whatever. Like, I think it's a cool concept. And that's, it was in that comic, so it's not like it's, like I have seen a lot of people not dislike the show, but they're like, oh, multiverse stuff. What are we doing? I'm like, yo, this comic's 20 years old. Like, we can't be doing this.
I'm really glad you brought that up because I think specifically what people are, and this is not my thought. This is a thought that someone else had that I agree with. I don't know who I saw it, who originally shared it with me, but I think a lot of people's rubbing up against the multiverse with like when it comes to like Flash or even spoilers for the Marvels a little bit there is this idea of like we're using the multiverse to bring back old actors for nostalgia cash grab, whereas the multiverse in the comics generally was used to explore different and unique takes on characters, mostly Batman, but like still like Pirate Batman, Green Lantern Batman, like it wasn't like Michael Keaton was coming back in the comic books. And so what I think like Invincible, because it's not really an IP that has a legacy like a Marvel or a DC. It's all new. It's all brand new multiverse stuff that is predicated on the fact of like, what would be an interesting place to take this world where Omni-Man and Digimon is just on the brain. Omni-Man and Invincible have actually teamed up, or like in the end of the second episode when we see that Cecil's a girl and Donald and Cecil are girls in this world. Donna. And that's also why I like Adventure Time's multiverse, when they do the multiverse for Peanut and Cake. It's not for nostalgia. It's just for like, this is interesting because this is new. This is new takes on things.
Absolutely.
I just want to expand on that to say that I think like the backlash reaction to multiverse is more than just the IP thing. I think you're right. That is a big part of it, but it is like, it's the same thing we see all the time, that like when a term becomes the center of the cultural nexus for like everybody, they all have an opinion about it and they all feel like they're hearing it too much, because multiverse storytelling goes back for forever, even in television shows that weren't like based like Buffy has multiverse storytelling.
Fringe,
like all of this stuff has multiverse storytelling. This is not new. It just wasn't like coined multiverse to explain it every single time.
Absolutely.
And so I think that there's just an aversion. Yes, I do think there's a slight increase in the amount of multiversal storytelling, partially because of specifically the centrification of the MCU.
Yeah.
In the past few years, but like it's really not that much more than the amount of multiversal storytelling we've been getting for the past couple decades. It's just like it's the same thing that's happening with AI. AI tools have been there for a long time, but now everybody like targets AI as a term specifically because of the way that it's being transformed by the Nexus, and we don't have a good way to separate from like what you're talking about, like saying I'm tired of the use of there's no shorthand, the use of IP for getting other things from other pieces to show up and play nostalgia. It's just multiverse,
Yeah.
and there's no shorthand for I'm talking about the AI that replaces people and their work and copies it,
Yeah.
rather than AI in general or AI tools. Like we just don't have that shorthand, so it's just multiverse. I check out and like God.
And I can get it because like again, reading comics, multiverse has been around since like almost the inception of comic books, like being weird with it. But like in the last couple of years, like both Marvel, DC, everything ever all at once, like like regular people are getting influxed with it a lot, so I can understand the feeling. But it's not really a new concept. It's just like we're just getting a lot of it in the mainstream now.
Multiverse goes all the way back to like early time travel stories because it essentially stems from the same concept that time travel was exploring, where if you aren't creating the same linear path, then you're creating an alternate timeline. Thus, multiverse ideas stem. It goes back forever. It's just so I get tired. I get tired of people getting mad at like things that have been there forever.
And starting our very first episode of season 2 in a different universe where Omni-Man and Invincible are homies. Boy, that was incredible to see, and like really vicious, and like what a world we could be living in if he and his dad got along, and like, oh, you know what? Maybe being a fascist is okay.
I'll tell you, in the process of watching that first episode through that chunk, I was like, all right, like what is this for though?
Yeah.
Where is it going? Because at first I'm like, it's a nightmare. And then I was like, no, it's not a nightmare. It's gone on too long and we've seen too many other characters.
I also thought it was a nightmare, but
I'm like,
kept going.
And I'm like, okay, so it isn't that. And then I'm like, we go back to our regular world, and I'm like, all right, so like somebody from there's got to show up, right?
It's motivation.
And eventually we get to like the Angstrom stuff, and I'm like, okay, kind of am with you. And then it's like informing on that, not just that specific Angstrom, but like many of them have lived in a world where the same thing happened, and most of them, this version of events has happened.
Yeah, that's the thing.
And I was like, okay, I see why we started where we did and all that, and like it worked for me. But I definitely, like, as I was watching it in the process, I was like, what is this for?
Yeah, I thought I was really interested watching this moment because I really like the way Steven Yeun plays Marc in these scenes. When he like snaps Eve's neck, but just enough to paralyze her, not enough to kill her. And she's just like, yeah, I just wanted to keep her around. And like, and like Omni-Man is like, oh, so that's what you were doing, practicing on all those people last week. You were
all those protesters.
Yeah, I couldn't figure it out.
Yeah. I think it's really brutal, but it's also kind of like, kind of going back to like this Fantastic Four thing. And I don't know, admittedly, this is just something I've heard offhandedly. So Ryan, please tell me if I'm wrong here. But like in a lot of universes, Reed Richards has gone bad. Whereas in like very much in the same vein of like in a Marc Grayson, our Marc Grayson is unique because he is one of the very few that hasn't.
Yeah, I'm not gonna say like a large amount, but there have been a few. Like the Council reads are mostly good reads, just like since the 616 read is our read, he is the one who is like, I am the best one of them, actually. But like obviously we know the Maker, who is like one of the biggest supervillains of all time, so like there is some parallel there.
I just find that kind of storytelling fascinating, especially when we're doing multiverse stuff, of like, because the first 2 episodes here are very much leaning into, and I would imagine the rest of the season is leaning into it, of like Marc being like, I'm not my father. I don't want to be my father. And so we're playing with the idea that like the reason why Marc is unique is because in this universe, he is not like his father, but in many, many other versions of him, he is. And how that kind of like, it hasn't informed his character yet, obviously, but I do believe that in a few episodes from now, it could inform his character of like creating this idea of like, well, what is so different between myself and these other multiverse versions of me?
Yeah, and what's so fascinating watching again, like the alternate world, is like, yes, Marc is like a bad guy, but there is still humanity to him. Like he wants to keep Eve as like almost like a pet, but like he loves her so much he doesn't want to kill her. Like there's still the little bit of goodness in him. Not that he can ever turn in that universe or whatever, but like Marc is a special person in every universe. It's just this is the one where
is it goodness, or is it like like selfishness for like what he used to have and he doesn't want to let go of it? But like I wouldn't say it's goodness. He turns her. He like paralyzes her so she can't go anywhere.
Yeah,
you're right.
I'm just trying to.
You're right. Okay.
It's just his out. No, you're right.
to be like, I didn't kill someone I used to care about.
Okay. No, yeah, that's fair. That's fair. I'm just trying to
Because he does kill everyone else that he used to care about.
I have a really
I didn't see it.
I have a really big question for that universe that I think there's a possibility the show will never answer, and that's okay. Which is in the context of like Marc and Omni-Man being like that, what happened to Marc's mom?
Yeah, Debbie.
Because like
Good
there's
question.
no version where I see Omni-Man doing that kind of shit to Marc's mom and Marc being okay with it.
Yeah, it's a good question.
It could be.
I guess I like unless the circumstances of that world were just different enough where she's bad to him in some way.
Oh, you know, you're right. They
Where
probably
he sides more with the dad, but I'm just saying, like contextually, like the Marc and mom relationship we've seen in our world, if you just move it over to like, well, he sided with the dad, I'm like, then the mom must have been not involved.
Debbie might be like the
she
factor.
might have died in like a collateral thing or something.
Like she might be the factor that like her being alive. Yeah, like I actually don't think they will answer it because like I remember, there was a flashback at the end where Angstrom is talking to Marc when he's all captured, but then he like teleports away. So we probably.
But that's also a different universe than the one we were already in. So Angstrom is going around different universes. What it looks like from the second episode mid-credit scene is that Angstrom is going around interviewing versions of Marc Grayson to find what his general weaknesses are.
That's right.
To like add to that memory. And he looks, by the way, gnarly with the brain going down his head.
And he's got the Dune tube. And I'm like, look at that. I know it's not a Dune tube, but it's a Dune tube.
And he's like looking at it like I really like when the explosion happens right in the first episode and he's like awake and he's like, this is all Invincible's fault because he's remembering. He doesn't know which of his memories are his and which ones
100 different people's memories all colliding into one. So like it's all none of his memories, but all of his memories at the same time.
And it's really sad because like he was pulling off the helmet that caused the accident and everything to him in an effort to save Marc's life.
Yeah.
And now he'll live the rest of it wanting to kill him.
Yeah.
There's a tragedy of Angstrom Levy. Be sure it's not Levy. I guess it's not because like the creator's saying it's Levy.
Yeah, if this were an adaptation by like Netflix, but Kirkman works on the show, so like.
Do you think if he'd teamed up with Cecil, do you think Cecil would have let him do the same thing?
You mean Angstrom?
Yeah.
Oh, if Angstrom had gone to Cecil instead of the Mauler twins?
Yeah, and pitched his whole thing, what he wanted to do and all that. Do you think Cecil would have taken the risk on that?
That's a really good question. I don't know.
I think the bringing in 100 multiverse versions of yourself.
I'll tell you right now. I don't think there is a clear answer with Cecil, and that's why I like the question because like it could go either way.
Yeah,
I really could see a version where Cecil's like if there's enough controlled elements, and he's got like the Guardians on hand and all that shit.
That's the thing. He likes to be in control. Yeah.
But if he feels like he's in control, he's supervising it. I could 100% see him being like, yeah, I see this as an ultimate good. Like we get one guy in our world who knows all these problems I can get ahead of. Like I do think Cecil would, but I can also see Cecil being too cautious. So it could go either way.
Yeah,
it could really go either way, which is why I like Cecil so much.
Yeah, the fact that Levy went to the Maulers makes me think that he might have, not that he tried Cecil, but he tried all the good versions of how to do this, and nobody wanted to cooperate with him brain sucking 100 versions of himself. So he had to go through the illegal means. So like, I don't know, maybe.
My thing is like he 100%. I do not believe that he could have gone to Cecil because Cecil, if he knew, would have that shit like on watch on lock.
He'd steal that.
Yeah. So it's like with Cecil, it's like you're either going to go to him and you're going to get a yes, or it's not going to happen because he'll never let you do it.
Get shot in the face.
Yeah.
I do like how the Maulers are like they have like made this. They obviously it's their machine it's inspired by their machine, so they kind of help him make it. And they say we've even made it so that when you have all these memories, you'll know which ones are yours and which ones are theirs, which is not something we ever thought of doing because they never know which one's the twin, which one's the clone or not.
Yeah.
I
like the Maulers a lot. I'm really happy to have them back. Kevin Michael Richardson is a really great voice actor, and so the Maulers were some of my favorites from the first season. I really like them here as well.
It's always great to have
multiverse Maulers.
The multiverse of Maulers. It's always nice to have like big, enormous characters who are also smart. Like that's just not a trope that like Bane is like one of those characters, but like the movies will never tell you that or anything.
But like people forget that Bane is one of those characters.
Exactly.
Like it happens so frequently.
Yeah. He's on
I
two separate occasions in Nightfall and Tom King's Batman orchestrated the world around taking out Batman that took years and stuff. And I'm like, no, let's just make him a big bodybuilder man. I'm like, yeah, sure.
do you remember Forever Evil? Patrick Gleason wrote a what was it, Arkham War, I think it was called, where where like Bane took over Gotham and like became Batman almost. It's incredible. It's a great one. Forever Evil is kind of a so-so miniseries, but like that tie-in specifically is awesome. Like Patrick Gleason really understood Bane.
Oh yeah. He's a smart man.
Yeah. I really like Maulers. I like their whole prison scene. Pete, you know, we could have killed you. We didn't.
We just gave you a concussion.
We just gave you a pretty bad day. That means we like you, Pete. But you got to keep us fed well. And they get out, and Pete's like, oh, shit.
We will, and when we escape, which we will, we won't kill you.
Yeah.
And when they go to the parallel world that Engstrom had been at, it's Pete's skeleton on the bottom there.
That's an interesting and tricky problem with his powers that the Maulers point out, which is I like the Maulers being that smart. You know, they're deducing things as well, and they're like, well, we're walking, so you can't teleport by location, like you end up in the same place that you were.
Yeah, you have to be in a crater.
That's a really tricky dimensional thing to have to navigate.
Yeah. It's such a cool. I know they changed Ekstrom Levy's powers in some way. I don't know exactly how they did though. I can't remember too well, but I really love the just in general the interpretation of multiverse travel of you can't move in space. You have to kind of like you will end up in the same place but in a different world, and then you have to. I love that, and I really like that we're seeing it in this show. I think it's so cool.
Yeah, it is more like scientific teleportation than like mystical. Because mystical, you're just like, oh, you just show up wherever the hell you want.
It's kind of like how people talk about like time travel is really tricky because it's not technically space travel. So if you were to go back in time, if I were to like teleport back in time right here, I'd be in the middle of space. Yeah, because I wouldn't be on Earth.
Earth spinning, it's got a rotation.
Because Earth would be in a different point in time. So it's kind of like that. But so it's like, you know, adapting that into dimensional travel. Obviously Invincible is not the first people to do it, but I really like it. It's a really cool way to do it, and I'm happy to see it here.
Yeah, it's a nice little detail. Let's keep with the Maulers and Levy while we're talking about it. Like Invincible comes to pop in and he's like, oh, I'm depressed, what's up, I gotta stop you. And they're like, try to stop us. And he's like, cool, I'm gonna beat your asses because I'm in a bad mood. And then like 40 more dudes show up. I'm like, yo, we're a bunch of Maulers, some of us are robots, some of us are ladies.
Oh, one of my favorite jokes in the first episode of Invincible is that that we don't get the Invincible title card until way late in the episode, and everybody keeps pausing just before they say Invincible, and I think it's so funny.
If he's really invincible. Like they did it like 3 times, and I'm like, all right, you gotta do it sometime though, right?
They do it a lot because like Rex also gives, oh, I guess you really are invincible.
My man, Jason Mantzoukas.
It's so funny.
Funny stuff. It's good. It's good.
I like that they have the force, the awareness to play with that
because we're expecting it.
Yeah. Let's talk about Karma Police and going around real sad, listening to Radiohead being like, I can only solve like small crime things, but the moment a supervillain's involved, I gotta back out because I'm on probation.
Yeah. So I like Radiohead. I don't love Radiohead, but Karma Police is my favorite Radiohead song. So the second it started playing, I'm like, oh, this man's in a bad mood. I know this song. Oh man. And there's a moment where like the cops are like confronting the supervillains, and then like they get taken out by like the Cecil's people, and the cops just like, oh yeah, I want to be a cop. Like I thought it was cute and sad.
I like that montage a lot. It's a good way to reintroduce us to Marc, kind of where he is in his headspace, because like the trauma of what happened with Omni-Man. I'm gonna do that every single time.
It flashes to like the moments when like his dad's destroying him, and like that is absolutely traumatic. Absolutely.
Yeah, and it's only been a couple weeks, so he's just kind of like he's trying to not move past it but ignore it. Like he's like, I'm fine. It's not, I don't need to deal with this. I don't need to move to do anything with this. I'm just going to push through and just throw myself into Invincible. And it's seriously self-destructive, and obviously we haven't seen the ramifications of that at this point in the series, but it's I like the direction that we're going in.
Yeah. Him and his mom. I think they do really, really great stuff in these episodes. Like, there's a moment when Debbie breaks down because of
The loose cabinet.
the cabinet that won't. And that honestly, y'all, that made me tear up because like that felt really real. And like when Marc comes in, she's on the ground crying after breaking all the glasses, and he tries to get close and she pushes her in the way. But then they huddle together. I'm like, damn, this is really good. Like, the voice acting's on point. Like, the animation is really good. Like, I have seen some people complain about the animation. I'm like, y'all, like, animating's hard. You want these episodes to come out fast. Like not everything can look like Jujutsu Kaisen. Give me a break, okay? Like, come on.
In fair, like, to be like the I don't think the teaser that they released, the Alan and Invincible, I don't think that did anyone favors, but like the difference between a minute and 30 teaser and 8 45-minute long episodes is very different.
There's also a different studio who did that too. So that,
yeah, absolutely. And so like the animation is obviously, it's been 2 years. I don't remember very specifically what the animation looked like in the first season. But I quite like the animation this season. I think it is very good.
I mean, I agree. I think that much as the first season, we're going to see spots where, they put a lot more budget into certain things than they put into others, and that's fine. Like, I don't need a big budget for the principal giving the graduation speech.
You mean Reginald Vell Johnson at Reginald Vell Johnson High?
Yeah.
That is incredibly funny.
Yeah.
That they just got the guy to play the guy.
Yeah.
But his name's Winslow, but it's Reginald Vell Johnson. I just think that's
I don't need a incredible animation for that sequence. I think we're going to see like spots where the same thing happened in season 1. Obviously, like there was a huge like push on the animation for the final episode of Invincible last season.
And I think like most of the action in these episodes are good. It's like, especially like the underwater like giant crab fight. Like I thought looked pretty sick. Like it's not the Serpent Society. It's the Lizard Club. What the hell?
The Lizard League.
God, I love that the Lizard League keeps coming back. Those losers. I love a good loser team. Oh my God. You got the Supreme Lizard. You get shot by King Lizard.
Oh my God. I love
your drama.
I love the Donald being the Donald being like, it's the Lizard League. I thought they were disbanded because the Lizard King was in jail. No, the Supreme Lizard took over, his uncle. And that's weird family drama. And then I love the just like we've been beaten and bloodied and all, like everyone's just like completely like destroyed. It's like Lizard League, Lizard. They're like all just like, yeah. Right.
They're all of them. Every single one of the grunts has blood all over them. Like y'all are like C-list at best, and I love that. I would also during that when like, send the Guardians of the Globe, and Donald's like, are they ready? And like, if these guys can't beat the Lizard League, then like they're never gonna be ready. Like this new squad. And like I thought that was really funny because if you can't beat a bunch of losers, like what are we gonna do here?
You mentioned the underwater fight sequence. I want to take that opportunity. We've already talked about Marc's mom, Debbie. I want to take that opportunity to talk about what I think is a deliberate choice that I think is a net positive for the Invincible adaptation, which is that on a whole, I think the women characters are much better handled in the series than they are in the comic. Sure. Debbie, after Omni-Man leaves, she just becomes a raging alcoholic and is just like wallows in grief and is just honestly like it's kind of rude to say, but kind of worthless as a character. She's just kind of, that's really all she does. And I'm sure she gets better. I'm kind of still in the grief part of the comic. So like, I'm sure it gets better.
Yeah.
Here she's much more of we kind of see that she is kind of like going into more wine. So she is kind of developing alcoholic tendencies, but she still has agency. She's still trying to move past this. She's still being a mother to Marc. And she still is going to her job. Which by the way, screw that guy. The guy with the guy who's going to buy the house, and he's just like, when you make the money, you can buy the house and all that shit.
She's not your pet. What'd you say? The garage is very spacious.
I was with Debbie on that one.
Yeah.
And then the Queen of Atlantis, in the comic, the second episode issue happens very differently. It is a marriage that is happening in the comic. It is very in the show. They've kind of done a reversal and said we've gotten rid of that. We're not doing that anymore. It's now trial. It's now trial by combat. Whereas in the comic, the mer the queen is like a prize to be won. And so she's just kind of like laid out on a clamshell with a bikini, and that's just the character. That's just it. And I really like the decision to just be like, yeah, I've been ruling this kingdom for a decade because my husband's been a superhero. I don't need a king. I'm the queen of Atlantis.
Yeah, she's almost dismissal about like, yeah, he's been running around in tights with you losers.
Yeah,
I've been running the world.
I really like that. Like that idea of like, I really like the change because again, it gives these characters character. It gives them more agency. It gives them something to do. That's not just blatantly sexist.
Yeah, and
so I really appreciate the second episode.
I agree, and I think it's a great moment for Marc when the big Kraken beast gets unleashed, and Cecil's like, "Time to go, bro. Not your problem. Not your problem."
Yeah.
Like, yeah, but this is my dad's fault. And he's like, "Marc, you're not your dad. This isn't your thing." And it's like, exactly. That's why I'm going to go help them. I'm like, yeah, you're a superhero, bro. It's a great moment, and I love the little squeaky toy on the anglerfish edition. I thought that was a great little scene.
Yeah, just to your point about the women thing, like seeing the stuff come back around for
Olga?
For Amber.
Whoa.
Seeing that stuff come back around for her, of people being like, basically people like being mad that Marc's still with her because they think she behaved poorly in the first season. Because she was like being the way that she was, and they felt about,
you mean reasonable,
him being a superhero. And it's like, guys, like the problem was the lying. Like anyone should have a problem with like constant, like a person who they're in a relationship with constantly failing to like do the things that they say they're going to do and lying about what they're really doing.
Absolutely.
Like nothing Amber did was unreasonable. And I think they're like, not that they needed to. I always think that was justifiable in the first season, but I think that they're doing a good job of showing how Amber can be involved and supportive for Marc.
He flies her to Paris.
Like a lot of the problems that were there for the relationship had to do with him not communicating.
Yeah.
And like the relationship feels in a much better place. It's like amidst everything Marc's going through, it's really nice to watch Marc have something like that.
Yeah.
That's giving him joy. Like that's the thing giving him joy right now. And I really like when he has the bit he flies her to Vegas and he says like you got to carry all the baggage of dating a superhero. You should get some of the perks.
Yeah,
I thought that was really sweet.
I couldn't fly you to real Paris because your skin would fly off.
Your skin would fly off if I went there that fast. Because I couldn't do it fast enough for lunch.
Thanks for keeping my skin on. I love you.
That's really cute.
Yeah, I mean you're absolutely right. Like the we talked about. I'm sure we talked about it when we talked about Invincible season 1, but like what people were saying about Amber was just completely unjustifiable. Like a very reasonable character. It's kind of like when people were like, I don't know how much of you the two of you know about Breaking Bad, but like Skylar had very similar backlash of just
Did you see the list of like top 10 worst like people hated? It's like I saw it on Twitter and like
Skylar
like
on it.
4, dude. He's like under Cersei Lannister. Her murdered an entire city full of people. Like it's sexism is still alive and well, unfortunately.
I mean, it's just like again, like Skylar and Amber are completely reasonable. It's not the fact that like no, Skylar was not going to be supportive of her meth cooking husband.
One day.
And so like Amber, like the it's really nice that like the show really shows you like blatantly it wasn't the fact that Marc was a superhero, it's the fact that he was lying about it. And if she had known, she was always going to be supportive of it because of course you would. Your boyfriend's a superhero. You just want to be honest. You don't want to have secrets in a relationship because that's cancerous.
Right. Not every girl would sign up for that, right? Like, there's an inherent risk. And like, I would argue that where Invincible could have shined is rather than Marc just like kind of hiding it for his own protection is him being more cowardice of she'll leave me if she knows.
Yeah.
Like it's going to be too much for her to handle, kind of thing, which I don't think was very much part of the point.
He's just doing a Peter Parker Mary Jane thing.
Yeah. And I mean, like, that element is also very, like, as Brandon observed about a lot of the female representation, it's very dated into the time in which it was written, kind of thing. And what it takes for, and that comes from a lot of old mentalities, but like most notably like cop wife mentality. And it's like, so yeah, no, I'm glad that Amber is handled so much, not so much better. I'm glad Amber is handled so well here, as continuing from how well she was handled in season 1. I'm just glad that Marc actually gets to participate in a way I can support in the relationship. That's the key thing I'm trying to get to.
Hell yeah. Can we talk about Doc's seismic reel just for a quick second? Because I think he's hilarious.
He's not a professor.
He's not a professor.
Never taught.
I never got to teach.
I love that the dude falls into lava, comes back, and now just has lava monsters with him.
Yeah, and he just like got his hair singed basically. He has a great line of like, "Oh, you guys have taken all the earth, and then you've erected the statue." And he's like, "Aren't most buildings though made of like you can keep all the ones made of wood?" I'm like, what a dummy! I love and hate this guy. Oh man, and his cool like sonic powers. Like, I think he's a cool like one-off kind of villain guy. I like
when Invincible is like offers to Cecil, I can push it out of the ground. I can push the Washington Monument out of the ground. It's like, don't do that. I'll deal with it. Cecil continues to be great. Walton Goggins, wonderful in the role.
God, Uncle Baby Billy himself.
What's up with Donald?
Donald's definitely a clone.
He's a clone. He got cloned or something, or he's got twins like Patton Oswalt and Shield.
I kind of.
Oh my god,
this happened to Coulson, but like in the movies actively.
Yeah.
So that he's like, why is everybody weird around me, Fury? Fury's like, well, I don't know.
We will never know. And honestly, if
the show kind of does it, but like
honestly, like they will give us an answer. But if everyone just always acts weird, like, wait, Donald, you're back. And he's just like, what do you mean? And it's never answered. That'd be a great joke.
I'm really glad that both times they did the recaps for the episodes, they explicitly show like Omni-Man crushing his spine to be like, no, that man did die. You're not misremembering.
Because I would have probably not remembered unless
because Donald's
right.
Donald's just that level of character where you'd be like, I thought he died.
Yeah.
I guess not. And they're like, no, you're right. He died.
Yeah.
It's comically hilarious. It's really funny to me that both the recaps have had his death included in it, and I wonder if that's going to keep up in every episode, because I, like you guys, I haven't seen 3 and 4 yet. I love it if it did.
He's going to be the Kenny of this universe.
I'm just really glad that adult Bobby from King of the Hill is
all I see is Bobby Hill grown up.
I kind of wonder, like, I wonder if we're gonna get like, I'm sure they'll explain why he's Donald, but so you guys said Bobby, I was like, his name's not Bobby, and like my head was like correcting it for some reason. I wonder if it would be really funny if they don't acknowledge that Donald is different, and yet they keep showing us his death in every recap,
just for us to think like they're gonna explain it this episode, right? Right? They never do it. That'd be a great joke, just like the Invincible thing.
I'd be perfectly fine if we get out of season 2 and like, man, so many things happen, a lot of questions answered. But damn it, we still don't know what's up.
He just like the end credit scene of the last episode, he just randomly explodes for no reason. Like, damn. And then he shows up in season 3, just like no explanation. Just like, damn, all right, whatever. Done.
And the recap for those episodes is both his death in season 1 and his death in season 2.
Yes. Just make it a long running joke. We can talk about Adam Eve. She's in this a little bit. She got I think a nice little moment with her real shitty daddy.
Yeah, she doesn't get a lot to do in these 2 episodes.
No, not yet.
I like the story of like her trying to help in Chicago because Marc can't.
Yeah.
And because she wants to help. And so she's trying to help in Chicago and she does these things. How do you guys feel about the turnaround on her that the community park you built fell apart?
I like it, and I like it in the idea. I think in execution, I think I needed a little more time with it because it happened really quickly in between the things happening. I like the idea a lot that like she wants to help. Oh, I just don't want to put criminals away. I want to actually like rebuild society. I am a Dr. Manhattan level character who can like reshape reality. So like, I think maybe if like I had another episode where this would come back or something, I would be more impacted. But it happened so fast I'm not really sure.
I kind of don't
I
like. Oh, go ahead, Brandon.
I have to see where it's going because right now well, I don't necessarily know what it's trying to inform in Eve's character. It's really interesting. Like I think on paper it's kind of an interesting idea, but I have to see what it's meant to do for Eve's character for me to kind of I need to see the big picture.
Yeah,
Brandon gets at an excellent point,
Yeah.
which is what I'm rubbing up against. Is that I don't like that it's her dad who gets to put her face.
Yeah,
in.
that's what got me.
That's the
Yes.
part that bothers me. Is that it somehow. I get that like this is shitty dads and like this is I'm sure this is exactly what a shitty dad would do. I'm personally disinterested in if this is there purely to like push further the story of her dad thinking that she's bad for the world essentially.
Yeah.
And her abilities at least are bad for the world. If that's all this is really there for, as you're alluding to, Brandon, like we need to know what this story element is for, then I'm kind of not here for it, to be honest with you. If it's for something else on her own arc that isn't related to her parents, I'm open to that. But like if it's purely about this, get the heck out of here. Like I don't like that he gets to put her nose in it.
Yeah.
I don't like that he gets to treat it like it
He's
undoes everything about her argument about like take the food I'm giving you, take the gold, I can make your life good, like why won't you let me help? And like he's so backwards ass stupid. And Brandon and I got into this on the
Adam Eve.
on the Adam Eve special where like I like sitting right now, that special still isn't informing on the character stuff the way that I want it to, because those parents weren't fleshed out the way that like I feel like the special should have, especially like when they do give a key detail about them, which is the fact that they don't know she's adopted.
Yeah. Good thing they both have red hair though.
Do they now? Did they learn that in season 1?
I don't
remember.
Okay. But like most of her life, at least all the way up to season 1, because I don't remember for sure, they believe that she is not only their daughter, but their daughter who came back from the dead.
Yeah.
And this is how
I think the point that they haven't made yet is that you can't cheat your way through life. Even though she basically has like a cheat code. She can do whatever she wants, right? Like she can rebuild matter at will. And like she doesn't know architecture, right? So like she didn't know the foundation that she rebuilt that thing on. So like I think the idea is that like you can't cheat your way through life, even though you have this power. But like I don't know.
Even if that's what you're doing, even if that
exactly.
Yeah. In their world, in their world that like doesn't hold water. And especially if like I don't like the way the dad like holds her accountable for what Omni-Man did in Chicago. Like obviously that's an extreme circumstance, and like putting it on her like you people kind of thing. I'm like, man, I don't like I get I get the point again is that he's a shitty dad, but I'm like, I just don't know if this like how often are we going to hit the point that he's a shitty dad? I don't know what this is serving beyond that, because I'm a little put off by it and a little sick of it.
Yeah.
Because like in I can even like get on board with he's not going to use the gold apple, and it's like that's too much of a cheat. And I'm like, okay, but like take the fucking food. What are you doing?
See,
like feed your wife.
Something
What's wrong with you?
If something happens, but she's been doing this her whole life, so it's not going to happen. But like she makes a bunch of food, and something they eat like gets them sick because she didn't make the apples right. But like I don't think we're going to see that happen because she's been doing that stuff for like her entire life at this point.
Right.
So like I think you are definitely right, Brandon. Like we need to see more to see what this journey is. But like the start of it, I am a little questioning of it.
Yeah, I want to. I don't understand like what is it meant to inform, and I'm sure there's a plan. There's 8 episodes. There's 6 more episodes to come. There's 2 more end of the year, but like there's 6 more episodes to come. So I'm sure there's an arc that Eve is meant to go on that I'm probably is going to move her back into the role of superhero.
This is
and I don't want that, because like she is right. Like if she can solve like global warming or like feed like end famine, like that is a noble goal. And when you have someone going, "Oh, you're doing it wrong, don't do that," like it's your shitty dad, I'm like there are other people you should be listening to more honestly.
No, this is the point, is that I don't want her. I want her to do superhero stuff with Marc again. Obviously, that's like that ultimately is a place we're going to see her is back doing superhero antics, fighting bad guys and stuff. But I don't need that to be the only thing she does, even when she does it. and nor do I want the lesson for her to learn to be, you went out there and thought you could do a lot of great things with your powers. Turns out, guess what? Your powers are actually only good for smashing in bad
For
guy
just
faces.
shooting beams at people.
They're just not that good for actually helping the world. And I can't get on board with that idea
Yeah.
for the arc that they set her up on at the end of season 1, or for what her powers are, or even for what the Adam Eve special gave us.
Yeah, she is so powerful.
I hope it's not a bad excuse to backdoor her back into being a superhero.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I can see like a world of like she finds a balance, right? Like she is a superhero and she maybe she doesn't go out of her way to fix a building right like she did, but she helps the architects. She's like, okay, how would I make this building with you guys? You know, that kind of like, if they, like we see like shoot, there's a Superman comic that does exactly this. Is it All Star? I can't remember, but there's a Superman comic where he is helping rebuild and My Adventures of Superman kind of does it, but it's influenced by a comic where he is repairing the city that he and a villain had destroyed. And he's helping the architectures, right? He's learned architecture to make sure these buildings are right. I can see like a path for Adam Eve to be on that, where and also learning to be to balance the superhero world. But if you're starting an arc where she's going to learn that actually her abilities are the way she's using her abilities is causing more harm than good, and that arc is started by her horrible father, I have a lot of questions, and I just got to see the big picture.
I agree.
She is capable of so much more, and like this is a superhero show. Like I know like the trajectory of like where she goes, but for this show, she should be able to
there's plenty of superheroes, and there's plenty of stuff she can do and still be an interesting character.
She could be on call.
Yeah.
Go like flood a rainforest with food or something. Like she can. She grew a beer tree, for God's sakes.
I don't want the end of season 1 of like, I think I can actually help make the world a better place, and for the show to go, no, you can't.
Nah, never mind. No, I think
all your abilities were handed to you for this setup. No, no.
We definitely again, like we still have a whole season to watch, but like I think we are still early enough on where like they can right this kind of wrong that they started on. But it is a bad trajectory on the start, which is a no-no.
Yeah, it just sets off a red flag. That's like also in similar context of conversation. I do think this is fine. It's not a bad show for doing this. This is more common on characters inside. I think it's a mistake for Cecil to not have superheroes functionally doing what Eve was trying to do, which is working in the city to help make up for what Omni-Man did.
Yeah.
I think like you quickly want to change the optics on Omni-Man.
Like after Civil War happens, like
people were so happy to have Adam Eve there helping move the process along. Like you need a lot more of that goodwill.
Yeah. And again, like the whole point of that was like, oh, it's so nice that someone cuts through all the bullshit of the like government bureaucracy and the red tape. And like, is the lesson going to be actually all that stuff is good? Because that's not it, y'all. It's definitely not it.
There's another kind of trajectory that I'm not crazy about, but again, like I want to see the big picture, and it's Duplicate. Obviously, sure. Duplicate is not a major character in the series, but I don't love that the only two kind of character moments we get with her so far have been she's sleeping with someone, and like because now we've seen her, she's sleeping with a mortal, and I'm like, look, I get it, you can make a funny joke about the fact that she's duplicating and they're all finishing at the same time,
emasculating or explode.
Yeah, and like you can make that stuff, but like I would like to see her develop a bit more than that.
I agree. I have no problem with the moment because I'm always down to emasculate.
Oh sure.
Explode.
Yeah.
So like 100% here for the moment. But I want the character to be more than that moment.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I also have a question about the Immortal at this point, because like I now need more of whatever his character is, because now I feel like I've lost the thread.
He's a good Vandal Savage. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
No, but he's kind of like, you're right, because like he's really stoic here in a way that we really hadn't seen him in the first season. Like obviously he's got a lot of rage in him because he comes back to life with Omni to kill, and he goes like right after Omni-Man. But like before that, he's still like with his team joking and kind of like there's still kind of like, and here he's just very much like
I
I'm
genuinely,
this is
I
gay.
genuinely wondered if like someone had replaced him because he
Me
was
too.
so like
So
dead
I have an
to
idea.
everybody.
I have an idea, but it's not. I need more episodes like to see if they explain this. But like this is after Omni-Man's betrayal, after all the Guardians were killed, after he was almost killed. He is brought on as the team leader of all these babies. And Cecil brought him on board, and he was like, "Yo, I need someone to whip these whippersnappers into shape. I need you to be a military commander." So, like, I buy that just from the little that we got, but I could definitely use more because he is kind of different than what we've seen him. But I see him being, like, "Yo, I'm brought in, like, I'm gonna make you all scared straight. I'm gonna make you guys into the best superheroes you can be. I can't be as fun as I used to be with you, like my old team."
But the reason I bring it up there is because I think that the Kate moment is like a off-duty moment.
Yeah.
And he's still that.
Yeah.
That's the thing is I feel like the Immortal had personality in everything we saw him in up to this point.
Sure.
And now I feel like he has zero personality.
Yeah.
And there are moments where I'm like, that's totally fine. What you're talking about when he first meets the team and everything, I gotta whip you into shape, 100% totally fine with me. When he intimidates Marc, totally fine with me. I get it. I get what we're doing here. But the fact that it's like all of the moments we see him right now, so far in these first 2 episodes, I'm like, okay, where did the Immortal's character go?
Again, like if they explain this, I'll be happy. But if it's like, yo, after what happened with Omni-Man, like I had to change my way because like I can't let that happen ever again. But like I need him to say that instead of just I'm now just stoic for no reason.
Right, but see that's a really interesting direction to the character, and so like, and that kind of character would be revealed in like a heart-to-heart moment with someone where it'd be like, yeah, the thing with Omni-Man really shook me, and like I really needed to, like that's something. The thing about like the Immortal the thing about the Guardians of the Globe that was so interesting about the first episode is that they died, right? They were all killed by Omni-Man. We were introduced as these characters like these are the Justice League of this world, and then they were all just wiped out by one dude. And the Immortal does come back because that's who he is. He's the Immortal. But the hope when a character that is like that and returns and gets to return is that you are able to chip away at the kind of the layers and really reveal a character and really like graft a character onto this person so that people will have a reason to care. And what's weird about the Immortals is that they seem to have done the opposite.
Yeah.
And I don't. Again, it's 2 episodes into the second season. I'm willing to see the big picture. It's just kind of weird that's what they did.
I'm hoping we get some, but like they're trying to juggle a lot of characters and new characters. So like I'm not exactly hopeful for like how big of his character role is in this show. But like anything can happen,
Yeah.
Rudy Robot Monster.
Oh, I want to talk about Ben Schwartz. The shapeshifter.
Oh, that's Ben Schwartz?
Yeah.
Oh, that's great. Oh, I love that dude. I am a normal human being. I was born on this earth. I love that dude. Oh my God. He's there. He's so good.
He's my favorite thing is when he's just when the guy's like, what do you think about Martians? Why would I know anything about Martians?
Yeah.
And I know nothing about Martians. I'm a human person.
His boss is about to like send him on temporary leave for like therapy, and he thinks he's about to get murdered. Like, please don't kill me. And like as the dude's washing his hands, he's taking out all the paper towels. And I'm like, y'all, you gotta watch a documentary or something. Like, he's honestly probably my new favorite, like new character, like I want to follow the most. And I don't remember anything from him from the comics. It's been so long. And the fact that it's Ben Schwartz makes me like extra invested because I love that dude. He's so good. The Shapesmith.
He's a really funny addition. And I love that he's influenced by Martian Man. And he's got like this because we knew it was in the end and the second season of the Martian episode we see in the recap that we thought it was more of a sinister like, oh shoot, a Martian got on the ship and has come to Earth, but it's like not. It's he just wanted to be free. He wanted to get out of there because that was a really problematic place for him to be. And now we know that the Martians are coming. We see when he's giving his like, I'm a human person born on this planet Earth, and I was just a normal baby. When he's doing that, we see like the bad Martians kind of leaving Mars. That's gonna be fun to see.
We don't want an intergalactic war. Yeah, absolutely. An intergalactic kegger.
Nice callback. I really like him. I think he's a lot of fun, especially when like he's touring the Hall of Justice or whatever they call it.
You live here?
Yeah, it's like if you play your cards right, you could too. It's really
I
good.
kind of I really like that character as well. I kind of wish we got a little bit more of the giant that has the mind
Oh, of an 8-year-old.
of an 8-year-old. Why are you so mean?
Oh,
Yeah,
That felt like an Adventure Time bad guy.
it
that was
did.
that was.
Like a big old giant that's like, why are you beating me up?
I love that. Oh, and he shows up as Rexplode, and I'm like,
Yeah,
that's pretty good.
Oh yeah.
the shapesmith.
Darkwing's Darkwing
Darkwing.
Junior,
Yeah, Darkwing.
the Shadowverse. Oh God, what a cool scene!
Midnight City.
Midnight City.
I love the idea that their Gotham is a city that is cursed to constantly be engulfed in midnight and just midnight.
Was that in season 1?
No.
Okay, good, because I don't remember, and it was hella cool seeing that.
That was so cool. I really love seeing that. And I love the new kid is with his shadow abilities. And I love when Marc like holds him and he's just like oh, let go of me. Not until you let me out of here.
I wonder who they'll eat first. Oh, and Marc does get a little sinister. He's like, I am.
You're right. It's like you said, I'm the son of Omni-Man.
I'm the son of Omni-Man. You don't
I
even
can do
know
it.
what I'm capable of.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm like, oh, Marc, don't say that. Don't tell people.
Yeah, I like
Marc, you can't say things like that. You can't joke.
again, like Invincible is like doing a lot of really interesting stuff with like superhero concepts that superheroes have existed for 100 years. But like Invincible still finding ways to make them fresh and still even leans on tropes that we're all familiar with, but making it feel new and fresh. And once again, I think so far season 2, just the first 2 episodes I've seen, I think it's a triumph so far. I'm really
Yeah,
excited
I
for the
love it.
rest.
We do get a little bit of Monster Girl and Rudy, who is Robot. I love that he's like, oh, I started sweating and I got nervous and I didn't know what to do. It's like, yeah, that's called being afraid. And I'm like, oh yeah, just like the first time you used the bathroom. And I'm like, oh, he's a baby boy learning.
It's nice to still have Ross Marquand doing a great job, plus Zachary Quinto still on deck.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, I forgot like Zazie Beetz is Amber. Like I forgot like every famous person is in the show and they're all really good. I'm like,
Yeah.
man, this was a good ass cast.
Yeah, the cast this season is insane.
You weren't with us, but do you know the kind of forgettable snake villain lady at the beginning of the Adam Eve special?
Yes.
That was Tatiana Maslany.
Hell yeah, it was. Yo, get everybody on board.
Oh,
She part of the squad, the Lizard League.
It doesn't seem so.
Okay.
No, they are. That is the Lizard League in the beginning because
Is
the
it?
kid,
The Lizard League.
Oh god.
the kid in the Lizard League is the Lizard King
Oh,
in this
God.
episode.
Enough time has passed. That makes sense. I love it. Fantastic.
That's fun. I like that a lot. It's interesting. Ross Marquand. He's also the Immortal. I think he's playing
Yes, he is.
2 characters here.
Yo, man, you got a guy who's that good. Like I bet he doesn't mind pulling double duty.
No, I like Ross Marquand a lot. He did the I'll shout out this podcast whenever I get the chance, but there's the Blockbuster podcast season 2. He played James Cameron. Great podcast. I highly recommend it. He's great in it.
Is there anything that we've missed that we haven't talked about? We got the Cecil squad, we got the Guardian squad, we got Amber, we got Debbie. Again, Olga shows up, who is the wife of one of the guys who got murdered.
I thought that was really good. Where she doesn't know if she's showing up because like she still now knows
Mad
and
has a knife,
and it's like, nah, that man. I understand.
Yeah.
I do like the conversation between Cecil and Debbie, where Debbie's like, "You need to chill it with Marc," and like Cecil is very calm and collected, but this conversation kind of reveals like his own trauma from the Omni-Man situation of like, I need to be in control.
Yeah,
I know where he is because I'm in control, and like that's like obviously in what I appreciate about the Omni-Man situation is that big and small, like Cecil is clearly handling on a very different level than Marc and Debbie are, but he is still traumatized by that event.
Yeah.
In fact, if you remember in the end of the last season, he almost died many times.
That was such a cool scene.
So like he's clearly like dealing with it by controlling Marc. Like I don't care what's happening. I need to be in control of Marc.
And like I'm sure like he has 99.9% faith in Marc, but because of what happened with Omni-Man, he has to, because he's Nick Fury of this universe, he has to make sure just in case. What if
Yeah.
he does go bad? I have to be ready for it at all times now because you never know. You just never know. And like I think that's like again, Walton Goggins is like really good.
I think far more likely, because I think you're alluding to like the sound thing, right?
Oh, sure.
With
Yeah.
the beast underwater.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think well, I think that's true. I think I think Cecil's far more honest with Debbie than he is with most people.
Yeah.
Where he's saying he really doesn't believe that Marc's gonna do this. I think he has a pretty good grasp on who Marc is. And I think he really doesn't believe that Marc is his father. I think he's afraid that like a turn could happen, but like as of this moment, he's like Marc doesn't want to be his dad, and I believe that.
Okay.
What I think is like there is always that chance, but I think what he is doing more likely, and like you're kind of meant to be left in that like, oh, that's kind of sinister. He's doing that behind Marc's back, but I don't think it's about Marc. I think it's about Omni-Man. He knows Omni-Man's still out there. He probably will come back one day. They've got to use Marc as a way to find weaknesses.
Yeah.
And that's, I think, what it really is he wants Marc out there because if whatever Marc can't get through or has trouble with could be an Omni-Man weakness.
Yeah. And the only person who has a chance against Omni-Man is Marc himself. Like, I don't think anybody else really
and he doesn't
unless
want
he uncovers other weaknesses. And it's like, I want either Marc to get good enough that he can beat Omni-Man.
Or we learn enough about him.
Or learn enough about him that we can beat Omni-Man.
So he needs to get his ass kicked a lot.
Yeah.
Which he has been doing.
And that's the thing of like, when he's looking at that's what I really liked about the thing is like not only could Omni-Man come back, but like the rest of the Viltrumite army could come back also. So like how would we be able to fight him if Marc turns or if Marc is not available to help us? We would be helpless because none of our heroes are powerful enough to stop Omni-Man. So whenever we see a weakness, we have to figure out how that's used and we have to figure out how to exploit that.
Yeah.
Right. I think also just kind of covering Marc in general. I think what's really great about Marc is, we kind of alluded to it earlier with like Amber is his joy. And what I think is so well handled about this is I do think like the trauma and the grief of what's going on is done really well with Marc and with his mom.
Mm-hmm.
And for Marc, that it's like he wanted to be a superhero. He loves superheroing. And I'm not saying that he's like anti wanting to be a superhero now. But now it's much more a duty.
Yeah.
Like you can see that Marc's thinking of it as paying a debt more than he's ever thinking about it being like getting to go out there and be a hero.
He feels like
he doesn't want to protect people.
Yeah.
But there is a debt that he's paying, and it's his father's, and he's carrying that into every superhero outing he's doing. So like that's no longer a source of joy for him, not really.
Yeah.
Because now it's so tied up in all the shit connected to his dad. So like Amber is his one respite. And like his mom, I like it because he's trying to do his best for his mom, but like they're both partially a source of each other's grief right now because they have to think about what Omni-Man did to the other.
Yeah.
And that's hard for both of them. It's hard for him to think of what Omni-Man said about his mom, what he thought of her, and it's hard for her to see what Omni-Man did to her son.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's heavy.
It's a good season. I'm happy with it so far. Anything else you guys want to bring up?
I'm just happy it's back, and I know people are mad that we only have 2 more episodes, but it's not that long of a wait. It's like a month wait. You'll be fine. It's not like there's a million other things you could be watching in the month.
Yeah, I'd rather it was spread out and less of a wait between seasons.
Yes, absolutely.
So like whatever
you got to do, man. Again, like a month's not that bad,
and that's okay because we have plenty of other things to watch, like Monarch.
We're all gonna wait. That's true. We're all gonna wait like 6 years for the next season of Arcane. So like we know how to wait.
No, they said it's coming out in like 2 years, bro.
I know they did.
They said
I don't believe them.
I know, I don't either.
They said November 2024. I thought that was so funny.
Look, when a trailer drops, I'll believe the date.
Very true, yeah.
And until then, I'm gonna be like, hey, man, Arcane's gonna come out like forever.
As of right now, isn't there still a Spider-Verse coming out next year?
No, they
okay, then never mind. Then that's fair. Okay.
They pushed it indefinitely.
Okay.
Indefinitely pushed. All right, so that'll do it. Guys, I already alluded to it. But the next Fake Nerds watch you're probably going to see is Monarch. Legacy of Monsters.
The next Fake Nerds watch you see is probably something that was cut from Strike
from 2 months ago.
Right. That's true. Because
New, though.
these strikes are over, so there's a lot of things coming out, guys. Be sure to check out some of the Star Trek Strange New Worlds, Star Wars Ahsoka. Is that it?
Is Loki done?
Loki's not even
Loki?
out yet.
I don't know.
So at the time of recording, Lower Decks and Loki are on deck to be out by the time this airs. One of those at least has definitely come out. Loki's in the pipeline.
Cool.
There's a couple of cinephiles that are out there still in the pipeline.
Love it.
Then you'll be caught up to our Invincible stuff, which we've put out the Adam Eve special, as we said. There's Doctor Who stuff out, so go check that out. And as Brand said, Monarch. Those
Love
are
it.
the things that are on the docket of new. And then we've got a couple of things rolling out from the past.
Super
Yeah.
duper.
Stay tuned to also some other cinephiles that we're going to try to get done before the year's end. But until then, speaking of Godzilla, by the way, Godzilla -1 review will probably happen sometime in the near future.
That's so soon.
Yeah, baby, that's next week.
Bro, 2 Godzilla things at the same time, and they're both good. What did we do to deserve it?
You mentioned Doctor Who, but like, it is insane to me that a year ago we were like, Doctor Who's it's far away, and it's tomorrow.
That's true. Time flies. Jesus Lord.
I can't believe Doctor Who's back tomorrow. I'm not even done with season 13. It's fine. Doesn't matter.
It'll be there.
All right. So that'll do it, guys. So stay tuned for all sorts of things coming out. Be sure to check out our website at ficknerpodcast.com, where you can keep track of everything that's coming out, such as links and things to find subscription links and where to watch and all sorts of things like that. That's all there on our website at ficknerpodcast.com, as well as our TeePublic and our Patreon. If you'd like to support us financially, those are available on our website as well as linked below. And our website is also linked below. They make it pretty easy for you guys to find all our stuff. So yeah, check out all sorts of stuff. Yeah, also check us out on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, all at Fickner Podcast. You can find me at BT McClure on Instagram and Twitter, where I also write for AtomicGeekdom.com. Ryan, where can people find you?
You could find me maybe watching the next 2 episodes of Invincible immediately after this at DJ Tony Snark all over the internet.
And Sparkz?
You can find me playing some Fortnite immediately after this to get those Invincible skins.
Oh.
At Sparkz20 on Instagram, Twitter, SPARKZ Witty.
Think. All right, so 5 minutes. All right, see you there. All right, guys. Subscribe to us on all. Rate and review on your podcatcher of choice. We greatly appreciate it. Like this video, subscribe to this channel. Until next time we see us, guys, stay fake nerds.